everybody, and welcome back to It's Only Food. I am Chef John Politte. I appreciate you joining us today. Today we're going to be making a caramelized mushroom and onion flatbread pizza. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our dough, and we'll just start that out here. Got a large bowl, got all of our ingredients here that you see. Flour, parsley, the water has got to be 105 degrees. So I'm just going to make sure we are not too hot and not too cold on that water. Then I'm going to just add it right in to our large bowl. And we have our yeast. And we have our sugar. And that is the first step. I'm just going to mix this up. Get it all dissolved in there. And I just want it to get foamy. And it takes about 10 minutes for this to dissolve right and the mixture to become kind of foamy, and then we'll add our other ingredients. Alright, the yeast has been activated, so now I'm going to add the olive oil, all of our seasonings, the onion, the rosemary, the garlic, and the salt. And I'm just going to stir that in before I throw the yogurt in here, just so we can get this mixed up. This recipe is available at my website, www.itsonlyfood.biz. This is a two-parter. We're going to make our flatbread, and then we're going to cook our onions and our mushrooms. But I want to get this started and get the dough made before we do that, because after that it's pretty quick. All right, I'm going to add our our yogurt in here now, and I'm going to blend this with a whip too, I think, just to get it to mix better. Whoop. Alright, now we got our parsley. I'm just going to add that right in there as well. And then I'm going to slowly start adding our flour into this. With a wooden spoon. I'm just going to incorporate this together until I get a nice dough forming. Alright, it smells fantastic too. Alright, I'm going to set this over. I got to clean this up a little bit. Alright, and here comes the fun part. I'm just going to get some flour, and I'm just going to do up my board here. Actually put on some gloves. In case I've got to do something with the camera, I can just take the glove right off. Alright, so I got a stiff dough right here. I'm just going to take it out of the bowl into the flour. Then I want to get flour on both sides of this. Alright, and I'm just going to knead this for 4 to 5 minutes. Alright, got some good dough there. Take off my gloves now. And with a bench knife or pastry scraper or whatever you call these, I call it a bench knife. I also call it a grill scraper. I use it to clean my grill, and then I scrape all the stuff up. I'm going to cut these into 10 segments. They might not all be exact. I'm really not a baker. I am more of a chef, but this is fun to do, kind of learn things. So they won't be all the same size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. There we go. And what you do here is I'm going to get a little more flour here on my hands. What do I do with my flour? Oh, in my bowl. I'm going to add more flour out here just to get it sprinkled, get some on my hands. And you just basically want to make dough balls, making like a snowball kind of thing. You just get nice round little dough balls here. I think I made some of these too big. We'll find out. It's the fun of doing this, is learning as you go. Like I said, I wore gloves because I didn't want to get in an instance here where, you know, I forgot to set the camera right or something, or I got to adjust the focus or the angle of the camera, and all this flour and dough on my hands would not be very nice to do that. So I put the gloves on, the gloves can whip right off, and then my hands are still clean enough to deal with the expensive camera work stuff that I've got. These are going to be nice little ones here because they're smaller. So when you're making this at home off the recipe, try to get as even as you can. So I got 8. Somehow came up with 11. I don't know how I did that. Well, I could just do this. Alright, when you get to this point, take a little sprinkle them all with a little bit of flour. And what I do now, I just take a towel and I cover them up for about 10 minutes. Alright, we have our dough balls. And the next step we're going to do is we are going to roll them out into little tiny pizzas. Well, actually they're going to be little tiny flatbread, but we're going to use it as a pizza. So I'm just going to roll that ball up in that flour, get out my rolling pin. Dust it with a little flour here. And we're just going to roll it about 7 inches diameter. Nice and flat, not too flat. Like that. And I'm going to set it right on my cutting board so when I transfer it over to the stove. So I'm going to get all these done. Actually, let me show you what I'm going to do before I get too involved with that. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to do all of these, but I want to show you what I'm going to do with this one. Well, what I'm going to do, before I do all of these, I want to show you what I'm going to do, because I'm just going to do a transition out of here over to the stove when we're done with this. I'm going to brush this with a little olive oil. And hit it with a little salt and pepper. I'm going to do this with all of them, then we're going to meet over at the stove. Alright, we are on to our next step. We are going to be frying the flatbread in the pan here. In the back I've got 4 there. I'm going to just do an experiment because I've got so many of them. I want to bake them in the oven and just see what happens with that. I have the oven on anyway because we're going to be making the pizza later. I did oil the pan, then I put the flatbread down on it so it would not stick on the pan in the oven. So I'm going to adjust the camera angle on this, get into the pan, and we'll start frying these up. So I got the pan on a medium heat, medium-high heat, I mean. So I'm going to wait till that to get hot. Now I'm going to take one piece of the bread that I've got. I've got the side with the olive oil and the salt and pepper. That's going to go down first. And then we're going to brush this side with olive oil. And hit it with a little salt and pepper. And you want to let this cook on its side for about 2 to 3 minutes until the top starts bubbling. And you're going to get a little brown around the edges there. And make sure when you're rolling out your dough that well, depending on your pan that you're going to use for this, you don't want to make your dough bigger than the circumference of the pan. Otherwise you're going to have some problems. You're going to have a deep dish pizza. So try to keep them about 6 to 7 inches and make sure you use a larger pan when you're frying them. Alright, starting to brown on one side. You gotta make sure your pan is absolutely medium to medium high heat when you drop it in there. But I believe in the recipe there we're gonna heat these up again to get them a little crispy. But you're just basically par cooking these first, I believe. Yeah, it's got some nice color on that one. So curious to see about the oven. Alright, I'm going to take a thinner one here and see how that works. So we'll just drop that right down. Ah, there they go, the sizzle. That's what you want to hear, is that sizzle. No, it does. It was thin when I put it in. It's the yeast making it rise. That's right. I forgot about that. Like I said, I'm not a baker, as you can probably tell. When we get into cooking the mushrooms, you'll see my skills as a chef. Ha ha. Yeah, with this one here, you can see the dough in there. It's cooked and it's like a bread, so that's kind of cool. I did it right. Yay! I always like it when a plan comes together, as they say. Just want to get a little color on her. Looks like pita bread. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish these up. Get them on. Oh, let me tell you what to do with this first. You want to get them all cooked and then put them on. You can stack them on a plate and keep them warm with a towel covered over them. That's what I'm going to do with these. And then we're going to come back. I'm going to clean up this mess right now. And then we're going to come back and we're going to be cooking up the mushrooms and onions and all the good stuff that we're going to put on this for the pizza. So I shall return. I'll see you on the other side of this transition. All right, we've got our mise en place set up for our mushrooms now. We've got our mushrooms, our onions, our olive oil, our salt and pepper. I've got some garlic chopped up back on that cutting board. I've got a bunch of thyme and some Marsala wine. I'm gonna focus on the pan and we'll drop down here and start cooking those mushrooms. I'm gonna add the olive oil and then I'm gonna I julienne the onions. We're just gonna throw those right in there and let those start cooking. Hit it with a little salt and pepper. Now I hit them hard with the heat when I threw them in there, but I'm just going to turn this down now. I'm going to add the thyme. A little more salt and pepper. Get that olive oil out of there. Now, normally I would use about 8 thyme sprigs in there and just let them add their essence to the pan and help perfume everything, but I got everything at the store and I forgot the thyme. So I had some thyme down in my office where I do my seasoning blends, so I'm borrowing that. But you can throw the whole thyme. Nope, there's our bread. Have to move the camera out of the way to see what that looks like. It smells fantastic, both the thyme in here and the rosemary and the garlic and the bread that we've got in the oven. But going back to this, you can throw the whole thyme stem in there. Just remember to pull out, know how many you threw in, and then make sure you pull them all out before you start dressing up whatever you're cooking. I'm going to move the camera out of the way and check our bread. Huh. Yeah, good thing it's an experiment, because that bread ain't really, that bread is not really doing a whole lot in that oven. It's just sitting there, not getting any color. It's not doing anything. But we'll check it out again. I'm going to keep setting the buzzer for 5 minutes at a time, because I'm not real sure how long to actually set it to cook this. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. All right, you want to let these just simmer for about 30 minutes. we'll come back out of the transition and we'll start adding the other ingredients. All right, our onions are getting really nice and caramelized. I'm going to add the garlic right on in there. Stir that up. Get our mushrooms in there. Now you can go to the store and pick your own mushrooms out. These are creminis, oyster, and shiitakes in here. They have, most grocery stores have a blend that you can buy, but you can pick whatever you want for mushrooms. Feel free to do that if you'd like. I just grabbed a mixture of them that there was already put together. So, oops, I dropped one back here. So we're gonna let that go. I hit it with a little salt and pepper again. And then I've got the marsala. 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. Stir that up. We are just going to cook this down where these mushrooms break down, get rid of some of their liquid. So let's see what that looks like when we're done. All right, so while those are cooking, I got the other bread that we made, the fried version of it, and I'm going to put these into the oven to get them a little bit crispier, because then we're gonna build our pizzas when they come out. Well, let's start building our pizzas. All right, well, we got our mushrooms. Let's start doing our pizzas up here. Not pizzas, flatbread, whatever you want to call it. Simply add your mushrooms to your flatbread. Smells wonderful. I got a mixture of Jack, pepper jack, and Colby. Cheese is here, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on each one. I'm not going to overdo it. A little salt and pepper on there. Alright, we're going to throw it in the oven for about 8 minutes at 400 degrees. Okay, these came out nice. They smell fantastic. We are going to take a photo shoot of this, throw down some music in there as well, and we will come back after we do that and taste these. So don't go away. Beautiful piece of flatbread there. Everything is cooked beautifully. The cheese melted just nice. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a bite. Wow. That is delicious. We'll start with the bottom, the elements, work our way up. The components of the pizza. You got the crust, perfectly done. You've got the garlic and onion in there, and the rosemary. You can taste that in the crust. It's not too overcooked, it's not too undercooked. It carries the load just right. Of course, you don't have a sauce on this, so we don't have to worry about the sauce. But the toppings are incredible. You've got the mushrooms and the onions cooked in that thyme and the garlic and that salt and pepper. Just perfection. You've got a little bit of that cheese in there that kind of makes it all come together. So this is a very good flatbread pizza. I hope you give it a try. Don't forget to head over to my website, www.itsonlyfood.biz. Itsonlyfood.biz, where you will find the recipe for this wonderful flatbread and also a ton of other groovy links. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye. Okay, so I pulled these out of the oven. You can see they were like this, and I flipped them over just to see. I mean, I don't know how good this is or how bad it is in the way of quality, but I just don't think that that's the way it's supposed to be. So stick with the frying it in the frying pan. Not only will you get a really nice color crust on there, but it'll kind of enhance the flavor with that olive oil frying into the bread. So won't go to waste. I'll find something for it.